Hi, and welcome to College Planning Untangled, where we help families simplify the college planning process. I'm Kristen Clark, and I'm here with Bobby Hood.
Hello, welcome.
Hey, Bobby. I'm in the middle of beautiful Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Yeah, I thought you had redecorated your home in a funny way.
Yeah, no. We're in a hotel and heading out to the TCU game.
Oh, very nice. That's gonna be exciting.
That will be an exciting game. It's in Phoenix, so nothing bad about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, Bobby, today what I wanted to do is talk to parents about the biggest mistake that I see them making when they're trying to help their kid pick a college major.
Yeah, we've been talking for a few weeks about the college choosing a major process, and there's a lot of things that people say that they don't realize can really shut the process down and really mess it up.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, this one, I see it more times than not. And that is when they're talking to their kid and they're thinking about, okay, career path, college major. The parent for so long has been given this kid answers to all of their woes and all of their problems throughout their life,
Right.
right? And we've done a pretty good job. They're coming out pretty unscathed. For this one, it's I think a detriment, and it's from watching kids when parents do the, "Ooh, you know what you'd be good at?
Mhm.
Oh, you know what you should do?" And all of a sudden, you can see this kid just shut down, where you can almost see them curl up inside themselves. And part of it is these kids are already trying to figure out and they're confused and they don't know where to start. And then when you start in with the, "Ooh, you should, here's an idea, here's an idea, here's an idea,"
Mhm.
all of a sudden becomes so overwhelming that they just stop.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how far-reaching the effects can be of just something as simple as that. And I think that's what this whole series we're saying is you've got to listen more and just don't make suggestions, right?
I know, and it's yeah, what I tell parents is I'm like, use the 80-20 rule, which
Mhm.
is let your kids talk 80% of the time, you talk 20% of the time, and that 20% of the time you're talking, you're asking questions. All right?
Absolutely. Which is like what instead of, oh, here's what you'd be good at, or here's what I think you ought to try out or you might like, ask them what they'd like and then ask them follow-up questions. So what skills do you think would help with that? Or, what skills, or things like that, right? Instead of saying,
Absolutely.
this is the skill I think you have, right?
Yeah. And here's one other part that I think that parents miss is that it's much easier for a kid just to say, "Oh, well, dad thinks I should be a lawyer, so you know what? I'm going to just check that box and we're going to just move forward."
Yeah, and I think that's part of the thing is that this college planning process, right? Of like, in your in our college planning timeline that we put together, like, it's like, okay, during junior year, once a week, once every couple weeks, have these conversations. Senior year, once a week, sit down and talk about these things. And a lot of it is checklists, and you do have to say, hey, you need to get teacher recommendations. Hey, you need to start working on your essay. You do need to say those things, right? But you have to on this point, right, you've got to not tell them what to do. You can't tell the student, hey, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer. If you do that, I mean, I can, we all know, friends who I have, one of my closest friends was third year in medical school before he finally admitted to himself and his parents that he didn't want to be a doctor, and he left UT Southwestern, one of the best medical schools in the country, because he just couldn't bear the idea of doing it. And it can just waste so many years of your life, right? And
It absolutely can. You're dead on. Yeah. And for parents, I think I get it, right? You
Mhm,
just want them out of this misery, but this is a decision they have to make.
mhm.
You can't make this one for them. And it's such a personal thing. I mean, it's what you're going to do for, the next 20, 30, 40 years for
Right.
40, 50, 60 hours a week. So, it's going to be really important that your kiddo makes that decision on their own. They don't just check the box because, as you said, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, they're going to go, "Oop, that wasn't a good decision." And then they're
Mhm.
regrouping and they're having to start over.
Absolutely. And so I mean I think part of it is, we've said it multiple times in recent weeks, like students don't you may think, oh, they're too young to know. And yeah, they may not know exactly what it is they would be good at or what they want to do, but they know a whole lot more than you think.
Mhm.
And the other thing is, part of this is that the parents really need to very carefully limit the ways in which they give advice on this topic, right? And the third party adult thing, with me as a tutor and with you as a counselor who helps people figure out their major and what their skills are, a third party person can help so much more with this because there aren't all that background of preconceived things that they've heard their whole life. They can speak more openly to you, particularly if the parent isn't in the room while you're talking to them, right? And you can get answers out of them, and suddenly the kids' eyes light up and they start talking about what they're interested in, which they might not do in front of their parents. And this is why I think parents should really consider having their kid work with you on these things, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
and Bobby, I can't agree more. And I think the other thing that I've noticed is that when I'm talking to these kids, it's easier for me to find the patterns in the types of things that they're saying because I don't have all that history in my head.
Right.
I can parrot it back and I go, gosh, I hear you talking a lot about food. Talk to me about what that means, And I've got a girl right now. She's a chemical engineer. That's her major right now. And in her case, she actually picked, I think, the right major. She just was now having doubts about it because she didn't verify and think through it as much in the beginning. But her mom told me a story that when she was young, that she used to go to the grocery store and look at all the food
Oh,
ingredients.
wow.
Yeah, and I was
Wow.
like, man, I'm like, okay, so it's
Yeah, that
hearing.
tells you something.
And then I'm able to kind of go and dig and go, man, I keep hearing you talk about this kind of stuff. Tell me anything you know. And that comes up, So it is hugely helpful. And I think that just for parents, just know that this is a decision that your kiddo has to make. You got to step back.
Absolutely. And I think we spend so many hours working on so many other things, and then we spend 0 hours talking about a major and accidentally say, like we're talking about today, oh, you know what might be good is do this. And then they just go do it. And you've spent zero time and you have accidentally sent your kid down a path that's going to waste a lot of time, which then, as we talk about, can lead to extra years in college or having a degree you don't want or being in a job where a career you don't enjoy.
Yes, absolutely. And I put in the chat the college planning timeline, which you referred to earlier, and the class that I do have starting in January. I've got 4 pick the right major classes that you can sign your kiddo up for. So, but you have to sign up by January 6th. So,
Well, that's great. So students can come in, they can join a class, which will be a small group that would work with you, or they can always work with you one-on-one, but the class is an easy way to do it. Just gets through it and has a regularly scheduled time. Yeah. So
yeah.
so that's a great affordable way to do it. All right. Well, this is wonderful. And we'll start in the new year next week with some new topics.